Oh, hello, camera. Hang on. I'll just go this way. How's that, everybody? Is that better? Okay. Hey, is it finally going to snow in the Carolinas? That is the question that we're hoping to answer on this week's edition of the Carolina Weather Group. All right, let's go back. And hello from Charlotte. I'm James Brierson. It's Wednesday, January the 14th, 2026. Frank Strait will be along from Columbia, South Carolina in just moments. And we've already got our first question for tonight. How much snow is there supposed to be in Manning, South Carolina? Well, we're going to talk about Manning. We're going to talk about other areas of South and North Carolina coming up on this live edition of the Carolina Weather Group, streaming here on Facebook, YouTube, and elsewhere. And if you're joining us later on, we're so happy you found us here on audio podcast or in syndication, because we have not one, not two, but 3 chances of seeing snow in some places depending on where you live. And so we're going to tell you what we know, and we're going to tell you what we don't know, because we're going to be honest and we're going to be transparent with you about what we can say for sure and what we can't say for sure. Shall we take these in order? That seems like the most logical way to take these, right? So let's go out to radar right now and kind of show you what's happening here in the Carolinas on this Wednesday night. And it's a little misleading, and I'll explain why. We do actually have snow falling right now in portions of western North Carolina. Matter of fact, we have some school counties up there. I want to say Watauga, Ash, and Avery that have already announced 2-hour delays for Thursday morning, Thursday the 15th of January. Not really because of the snow flurries, but because of how cold it is going to be the next 2 days. We will talk about that. But on the live radar right now, it is showing up as rain because the radar is skimming up above the atmosphere. But if you bear with me here a second and I do a little clicking, we can actually show you this live camera right here from CCC and TI. Yes, it is the Catawba Community College and Technical Institute, but it is their Watauga County campus. And you can see we've got snowflake coming down right now. And it's been this way since about the 6 o'clock hour on this Wednesday. And it's starting to stick in some of the surfaces. So let me welcome in Frank Strait and say, Frank, we've got snow tonight. It is happening in some places.
Yeah, I see that. And I wouldn't have believed it because I just looked at the observations from the Watauga County Hospital heliport in Boone, and it says they say it's raining. But obviously it is now snowing. Of course, that observation was taken 15 minutes ago, so things can change.
This camera itself says it's at 33 degrees. I'll tell you, I've been watching this camera on and off for the last 3 hours or so, and it's mostly seemed like snowflakes. But this is the first time now here in the 9 o'clock hour that I've noticed it's actually cold enough on the ground that it's sticking in some places. So I think we're kind of right there at the cusp.
Right. Yeah, it's showing 34 as of 8:55 in Boone on the official observations there.
Wow, interesting. So as I mentioned, a couple schools already on delays for tomorrow, but mostly because of temperature. So yes, folks, we'll come back to snow here in just a second, but let's look at the minimum temperatures in portions of the Carolinas tomorrow. 11 degrees on Friday morning in Boone, 12 degrees on Thursday morning in Boone. And Frank, that's just the air temperature. Never mind the wind and the wind chill. Frank has muted himself, which for anybody who's new to the show, that is
I pulled a Scotty.
Yes. So here are the apparent air temperatures. This is why we have school delays in the morning.
Right, because the winds are going to be screaming tonight and tomorrow in western North Carolina, and that's going to result in these really awful wind chills, even below zero in some places.
Other places across the Carolinas where you might be thinking, oh, I'm not in the mountains, it's not going to be that bad. Charlotte, 19. Greensboro, 15. I mean, this is going to be a very cold start to work in school for a lot of people on Thursday morning. And again, on Friday, because here are the apparent temperatures, the real field temperatures for Friday morning, back down to -4 in Boone, 15 degrees again in Charlotte, 16 in Raleigh. I mean, even Hatteras coming in at 15 degrees, Frank.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not fun.
Yeah, not to be left out, here is South Carolina, and on Thursday morning, yes, there we go, Thursday morning, we have temperatures that are in the 20s. The highest temperature we've got is a 40 in Charleston, so a little bit nicer along the coast, but I-85 corridor, 25 degrees there in Greenville, 30 degrees where you are in Columbia, and let's see, the minimum wind chill. I mean, you guys are going to feel like you're in the teens in some places too, Frank.
Yeah, it's going to be real cold, especially in the upstate tonight and tomorrow, and uh, even Friday morning is going to be pretty cold too.
Yeah. Ann, who's watching with us on YouTube on this Wednesday night, says, I'm happy for the cold. And I think some people are happy for the cold. The ski resorts are definitely happy for the cold. Friday morning, minimum wind chill temperatures in South Carolina back into the teens in places. I mean, it's going to feel like it's below freezing along the coast, too. That's how cold this air mass is the next 2 days.
Right.
And so that kind of takes us through the rest of this week, which, I think will bring some snow chances some places. And let's just look here first at North Carolina and then South Carolina. The expected snowfall, this is the official National Weather Service forecast between tonight, Wednesday, and Saturday at 7 p.m. And that is key because something happens after Saturday at 7 p.m. But let's just take round one here. And you can see that the National Weather Service is forecasting that snow will accumulate, maybe 1 or 2 inches, but only in western North Carolina and maybe a touch of the higher elevations in upstate South Carolina and northeast Georgia. I think, do I have this map for South Carolina too? I do, but as you can see, not really an impact with the next 72 hours. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I mean, we're not really expecting to see snow outside the mountains, Frank, but then things start getting interesting and we transition from what this is. This is a forecast map, folks. This is what human beings like Frank and human beings at the National Weather Service, they've looked at all the data, they've gone through all the computer models, they've taken out the errors, they've averaged the scenarios, and they've put a forecast together. Well, we have a tool set called models. And models are just computers and they have biases. And sometimes they go a little this way and sometimes they go a little this way. And Frank, it's that little this way and that little that way for the weekend that, I don't know, looks interesting.
I'm still stuck on you calling me a human being. Most people who know me don't think I'm a human being. They think I'm some sort of beast.
I think, yeah, look pretty human to me.
Okay. Well, at least I look the part. Anyway, yeah, that's computer models, just the basics about computer models. You take information about the atmosphere, temperature, pressure, wind speed, humidity, not just at the surface, but aloft too, whether or not clouds are present, whether or not radar detects rain in a certain area. And you take all that data and you throw it into a computer. And the computer starts taking all that data of what the atmosphere is doing now and does a lot of really complicated math. And
no one likes math.
Uses that to predict what's going to happen in the future. We've been doing this for a long time now. The first computer models came out in the 1950s, and they were really primitive then. They were really primitive for a long time, actually. But as computers got better and better and faster and able to handle, well, more and more math in a short period of time, the computer models got better. And so now the computer models are actually decent. You can get a pretty good forecast out to 2 days out, roughly. Things sometimes go a little more haywire once you get past the third day, especially, which is where we are with respect to what may or may not happen on Sunday, because that's still a little more than 3 days out.
You know, after 570 episodes of this show, Frank and I are kind of in sync because that was the perfect segue, Frank. Because I can show folks right here. So this is one computer model, right? This is what one of the computers thinks might happen. It's called the HER. And it's a pretty good one because, as Frank mentioned, it goes 2 or 3 days out. So as we kind of play it, and I'm going to play it here on your screen for you, starting from now, Wednesday night through Thursday, you can kind of see some on again, off again snow there. That's the blue showing up. It's like simulated radar, but it's really all up in western North Carolina. It's not impacting the rest of the Carolinas. And then right here, this is late Friday night. It starts to bring this moisture in, Frank, that if I could advance it a little bit further, seems to be the cusp of where the game starts.
Well, sort of. What you're seeing there is part one of what happens this weekend, which is another cold front moving in, delivering a reinforcing shot of cold air. It's not quite cold enough for snow with that over most of the Carolinas, the mountains being the exception. Possibly a small sliver of upstate South Carolina too. But just the mountains. Basically, for the few people who live along and north of Highway 14 there, north of the Greenville-Spartanburg area in upstate South Carolina. That's where you have a chance of seeing some snow. Have it actually stick on the ground, you'd have to be in a high spot for that. But that's what's going on there. It's just not cold enough for snow over most of the Carolinas as that cold front moves through. There's also not a lot of moisture associated with it. You can see there's a blob there, but there's not a whole lot of precipitation going on as that cold front moves in. So that's our round one. And if you could advance that forward, if you want to switch to a different model that goes out further,
I do.
The NAM Nest.
I got the NAM here.
Right, and the NAM, caveat for the NAM, one of its biases, you mentioned that computer models have biases. One of its biases is that it tends to produce less precipitation.
Which you'll see when we go to the next one.
Right.
but so the NAM's picking up here at about, let me do again. So Friday, Friday, we left off about here, I think it was. You can see that it actually has, like you said, less moisture than the HER at the same time frame.
Right.
As we head Friday into Saturday, it keeps us relatively dry, and we're still kind of waiting for the NAM to go further out into the future too. I guess I could go back a few runs, but this current run is still downloading.
Now, if you want to switch to the other one, the NAMnest there, the 3 kilometer NAM is what we often call that.
Okay. So
and that does go out a little further, but and it's also tends to do a little bit better with precipitation than the full grid NAM, we call it. So
this is about that same time for you. This is late Friday night, early Saturday morning, right?
Right. Yeah, that's 1 a.m. Saturday you're looking at there. So it's kind of the middle of the night, Friday night there, and shows that precipitation just moving in. I guess that model is
knocking on the door.
That's an older run, I guess. It must be the 18Z run.
It is the 18Z run. Okay. And for anybody who's wondering why we keep saying numbers and then Z is like Zulu time. It's the equivalent of GMT, but worldwide. So all the weather stuff, like when it says in the top right of this picture 6Z, that's why Frank said that's actually 1 a.m.
Right. Yeah, that's the explanation for this Z time thing. The models are based on Z time, and that's the name of the time zone. There's actually every time zone around the world is assigned a letter. The Z time zone is well known because that's where the prime meridian is, and that's where we base all of the times, the initialization times for our monitor. The time at which we take all those. From which we take those weather observations and stick them into the computer and say, here, run your equations and tell me what the weather's going to do.
Yeah. So let's get these good people the snow lovers run. The computer model that is just pro snow lovers is the GFS. And this is the 18Z run that came out a few hours ago here on this Wednesday night. And what the heck is that, Frank?
It's actually consistent for 2 runs in a row. I'm impressed.
I like consistency.
Let's give the GFS a small gold star for having something of run-to-run consistency here.
So
that's not saying I think it's going to be right. I'm just saying I want to give it a little gold star for not bouncing around between the 12 and 18Z runs.
Right, because every couple hours when it generates a new one, if it does the same thing again and again and again and again, consistency is something. So this is 12Z on Sunday, Frank. So
correct.
When is that
Sunday.
for people? 10 a.m. on Sunday. So this is like church time on Sunday.
Oh, 7 a.m. Maybe church time for some. Some people do go to church really early, but
apparently the hand command for 7 also zooms out my camera. So why might this happen and why might this not happen, Frank?
Okay. Well, again, there's more than one computer model out there. The GFS, which is run by the National Center for Atmospheric Prediction in Silver Spring, Maryland, a part of NOAA, the National Weather Service. That this GFS model, it uses one set of equations and it runs at a certain resolution. That is to say, the resolution being the distance between points in the model's grid. So it has one way of doing things, and then you have another model run by the Canadians, what used to be called Environment Canada. I don't know what they changed it. I call it some long name that I don't know why they had to change it. But anyway, Canada, the Canadians, they have their own set of equations they use to take that weather observation data, run a bunch of math on it through a different set of equations to come up with a forecast. The European Center for Medium Range Forecasts, creators of our favorite model, the Euro, we call it.
Mm-hmm.
They call it the Integrated Forecast System or something like that, I guess. But we call it the Euro because it's run by the European Center. Anyway,
Sure.
again, different set of equations, higher resolution, less space in between grid points. So you get a different output from that model than you do from the Canadian model, than you do from the GFS. Sometimes it's a huge difference. Sometimes it's a small difference.
So is the
the
GFS
European
right
model,
or is the GFS wrong?
I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't know. Well, let me rephrase that. The GFS is wrong. The Canadian model is also wrong, and so is the European model right now. The UK
they're
model,
all
it's
wrong.
wrong. Chinese model, they've got a model too. It's wrong. Koreans got a model. It's wrong too. All models are wrong. But somebody said all models are wrong, but some are useful. All of them are useful in that they each show us a different possibility of what might happen.
Right.
The GFS, using the equations that it's programmed to use by the people in Silver Spring, Maryland, they take that computer model is saying there will be a good bit of moisture, more moisture involved in the other models. They're saying that there will be we'll call it a more dynamic situation, weather speak for saying there's going to be a more intense system here with more upward motion occurring. And as a result, more precipitation occurs. The timing's a little different than the other models too. Now, we see what the GFS is calling for. Show them what the Canadian model's showing. That would be the GEFS you see up there. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I had it wrong. The GEM RDPS is what you want. Or no, the GEM GDPS. That's the one you want.
Are you just saying chicken noodle soup at me? Feels
like just meteorology is a bunch of alphabet soup. It's hard to get used to.
Okay, so I only have the whole United States for the GEM GDPS.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
we'll get the point.
Yeah. So it's showing for audio listeners outside of the mountains. It's showing
almost nothing happening, almost dry. A little bit of rain along our coast. No snow, just a little bit of rain.
Yeah.
Although it's a very close call, it might end up being, if the Canadian model were right about everything else, might end up being snow.
Right, because if you're watching along with us, correct me if I'm wrong, Frank, but this purple line right here that divides the blue from the red, that's the freezing mark, right?
No, that is your 5,400 meter, 1,000 to 500 millibar thickness line, and that is going to take a minute to explain what that is.
Okay, we'll come back to that.
Maybe we should come back to that. But anyway, it is one of your rain snow indicators.
Okay.
It doesn't mean it's going to snow if you're on the cold side of that. It doesn't mean that it won't snow if you're on the warm side of it. But statistics show that when you have that parameter less than 5,400 meters, you usually get snow. When it's above 5,400 meters, you usually get rain. That doesn't mean that it always works out that way. It just means usually.
All right. So if I ask this model, because we're getting questions in chat, right? Like, how much snow could I see? Well, if I asked the Canadians how much snow we could see, the answer is very little outside the mountains. Of course.
Right.
And remember, this is not a forecast. If I asked the GFS model how much it thinks, let's call this the worst case scenario for snow. I mean, like, that's several inches of snow across mostly all of North Carolina and about half of South Carolina. If this scenario happens. So we've been asked more than once about Manning, South Carolina. If it's where I think it is on the map, maybe an inch. But again, you have to probably try to figure out what probability, likelihood of this scenario happening when you can clearly see there's at least a dozen different scenario tabs across the top of the screen.
Right. And again, we haven't even looked at everybody's favorite model, the Euro. That's COD. That's College of DuPage, right?
I'm on College of DuPage.
Okay. Yeah, they've got the Euro on there. I don't know if they'll have the snow output from the Euro or not.
I don't think they do, but I think we'd be able to see.
That's the GFS Ensemble. We'll talk about ensembles here in a minute.
Oh,
good. We do have
it. Okay, we have
it. And look at what the Euro's doing. The Euro's... My Verizon cell phone just came back online.
I know. I tried calling you right before the show.
News, James.
Oh, wait. Hang on.
It's breaking news.
Oh, where is that button?
Oh, you lost the sounder.
I lost the
Oh, no.
sounder. Oh, I'm
Da-da-da-da-da-da, breaking news.
kind of sad about it. Hang on, I'm loading it. That was too long in News World to have to load it like that, but here it is. Yeah, I tried calling you before the show, and I got your call cannot be completed.
You say, James, Frank, where are you? It's like 2 minutes of airtime, and you're not on yet.
That is what I did, but notice I didn't call you out on that.
I called myself out when
You did call yourself out.
And my excuse is that nothing was working, including my Verizon cell phone, until just now. Breaking news: Verizon is working again, y'all.
I don't know. Let's check. Oh, it's ringing. Oh, hey, that's a good-looking guy there. All right, that did work. that did not work.
We
20
just
minutes
did
ago.
a phone call on Verizon, y'all.
I mean, otherwise I was going to have to break this guy out. Frank, hello. That's a landline for anybody playing along. Anyway, snow.
All right, we were talking about snow before we had breaking news. Oh yeah, how we don't know if it's going to snow or not. That's what we were talking about.
Oh, right.
Back to the Euro.
Back to the Euro. So the Euro is calling for very little to no snow.
Correct. That's what the European model's showing.
I must have been on this version. There we go.
It's got a shot. It actually has similar moisture levels, but it warms things up a little bit ahead of that disturbance that the GFS says will cause some snow, but it warms things up a little bit. So the European model shows mostly rain and then a little snow at the end along our coastal plains, and that's it.
So we've talked about models, and we showed a forecast earlier. We showed a 72-hour forecast, and now we're showing like a 5-day model. What is the difference, Frank, as I play Everyman America and ask you these questions? What's the difference between a forecast and a model?
Okay. A computer model is a tool. The output from a computer model, I mean, we call that a forecast because it is. It's a computer forecast. But it is a tool for meteorologists to use to make a forecast to give to people. It is not something that should be considered a real forecast for you to use. Most computer model data is outputs are readily available. You can go online and look, do a Google search, you'll find it somewhere. Tropical Tidbits, you get a lot of stuff free there. NCEP's website has the U.S. models freely available. You can look at it there. The ECMWF's website, you can go and look at the Euro there. Environment Canada, you can go look at their models there. If you want, you can go download what we call gridded files. And if you have the right software, you can make your own maps of model output, which is fun if you like doing that kind of stuff. A little bit of a learning curve, but you can do it. Yeah. So
today's Wednesday, and we've already pretty much established that between now and Friday, the mountains, mostly of western North Carolina, could see inch to maybe a little bit higher. If you're on, some of those high peaks, you know who you are. When do you think we could forecast accurately for the weekend snow?
Let's see. Snow's probably going to start early Sunday if it's going to, some around 7 a.m. We might get it right about 4 a.m. Sunday.
That's me again on Monday. But I mean,
I have often been accused of being too honest to be a meteorologist.
I mean, that's what this show is for. We're walking everyone through it.
That's a little bit of an exaggeration. Usually around 72 hours out is when you can start getting a pretty good picture, start being able to hone in on some of the details. Sometimes you can do it a little sooner than that. Sometimes it takes a little more time. The reason being is because some weather patterns are more predictable than others. And right now we're in a weather pattern that's not as easily predicted. The models don't handle it as well as some other weather patterns.
Well, it's a complicated weather pattern too, right? Because it's not just one thing. It's moisture, it's temperature,
right?
It's timing.
Right. And it's also the kind of the interplay of of different disturbances in the atmosphere, and how they play off of each other kind of determines what's going to happen. And that's something that models in general struggle with, some more than others.
Yeah, so Tim Buckley, chief meteorologist at WFMY in Greensboro, has a pretty good map out on his X account. That's right, New Year's resolution. I'm trying to call it X. And let me slide it onto the screen a little bit better for visual viewers with us tonight. But there are like these scenarios essentially on play here that where the different parameters do different things and that kind of line up and give us different results.
Yeah, those are general ideas, and this varies from storm to storm. Sometimes you have a scenario, three different scenarios like that. Sometimes you have a scenario where the storm may go up toward like Chattanooga, Tennessee, and then jump over to Wilmington. Sometimes you have another scenario where the storm goes across Florida. It kind of depends from storm to storm, and this only shows one of the questions that we have, and that's the track of the storm. Another question is, how strong will the storm be?
True.
Maybe it's stronger like the GFS is showing. Maybe it's weaker like the European and Canadian models are showing. Another question, how much moisture will be involved? Maybe it'll be more like the GFS. Maybe it'll be less like the European and Canadian models are showing.
So you just
and
don't
then again,
know
there's the
answer,
interplay
do you,
between
Frank?
those.
I said, you just don't know the answer, do you, Frank?
I wish I did.
So
I mean, I wish that hidden behind this monitor that's holding up my camera, I wish there was a little control panel back there where I could just push a button to snow and make it snow 6 inches in my backyard.
That sounds nice.
I would be a trillionaire if I had such a thing.
I like this approach. And we've seen more and more of this approach over the last year or so. It's the probability of scenarios and it's the probability of impact. So this graphic out tonight from National Weather Service in Raleigh shows through Sunday the probability of a half an inch or more of snow. So they're not saying, well, this model does this and this model does this, and it might be 2 inches, it might be 4 inches. They're just saying there's a chance. It's kind of like sports betting, but for weather.
Right, and where they get this from is the models. They weigh this based on, well, one model showing this, another model showing that. Model A is more likely to be correct than Model B. Model A handles Model B handles these situations a little better than Model A does. And there's also, like the fact that there's several different computer models you can look at, and not just those. You also have the ensembles to consider as well.
Yeah, we're really going down.
Let's talk about ensembles for a minute, James.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
All right, so
is this a story time or is this just
no story time here? This is technical explainer time.
Okay, that's a different.
We'll have to come up with a different intro for that. But anyway, an ensemble is a group of computer models. Now, there's the one model that's the base model, like the GFS model, the American model. There's an ensemble based on the GFS called the Global Ensemble Prediction System, GEFS. GFS stands for Global Forecast System. So anyway, this GFS-based ensemble, what you do is you take the GFS. The GFS's output is one member of the ensemble. And then you take the input that you put into the GFS, you tweak it slightly. Here and there, you change the temperature by maybe 1 degree. You change a wind speed by maybe 2 miles an hour. You change a relative humidity by 2% somewhere. You make all these little changes in the model input, and then you run the GFS on that input instead. And you take 30 different slight little tweaks to the input and run the GFS 30 times. And those little tweaks plus the GFS is your ensemble. And this is valuable because it shows how the model handles changes to those initial conditions. If you get wildly different outputs from each of those ensemble members, it tells you, first, you're in a difficult to predict pattern. And second, you also see a wide range of possibilities that might happen. So that's where the ensemble is valuable. to show you that range of possibilities, but also, especially when you get similar solutions out of each one of those ensemble members, you can view the mean of that ensemble's output to get a good idea of what's probably going to happen. Like, for example, if each of those 31 ensemble members shows somewhere between 4 and 8 inches of snow in Rock Hill, South Carolina,
Nice.
then you can say with a lot of confidence it's going to be a pretty good snowstorm in South Carolina. I mean, in Rock Hill, South Carolina. And the ensemble mean is like 6.2 inches. That's probably a pretty good basis for your range. Now, it's those models are ensembles never going to be clustered that closely together, not in more than 24 hours out probably, but it tells you what the range of possibilities are. And different ensemble systems do things differently. The Canadian have their ensemble based on their Canadian model, and they have, I think, 20 different perturbations, they call it, of the model, and then the model itself. That's the ensemble there. European folks over there, and they have their model, their deterministic model. We call it the Euro, as they call it, their deterministic model, and then they have 50 different ensemble perturbations of that initial condition that they run the Euro on, and they have 51 ensemble members as a result. So again, different ways of doing things, but once again, the Europeans ensemble tends to be the best of them. And so that's one of the ones we look at most carefully. However, you do have to use the ensembles with care. If you look at the ensemble mean and it says, well, there's out of the GFS ensembles, there's a mean of 1 inch of snow in Salisbury, North Carolina, and then you go and look at each, but you don't look at the ensemble members, and you just decide, well, predict an inch of snow. It may be that there was one ensemble member that was showing 18 inches of snow, and another one that was showing maybe 6 inches, and every other model showed every other ensemble member showed no snow at all. And what's most likely to happen is no snow at all. But because of that, those 2 or 3 ensemble members that were showing a big snowstorm, that ensemble mean gets thrown off. And looks a little higher, even though it's still going to be pretty low. If you have 47 zeros plus an 18 and a 6, that mean's still going to be pretty low. But it still goes to show that the mean can be thrown off, and what's really most likely to happen is no snow at all.
You know, I showed a graphic a few moments ago from the National Weather Service in Raleigh, and I want to show one now from the National Weather Service in Newport/Morehead City. And I feel like it also speaks to something you just said, right? You can't just look at one. You gotta kind of compute them, and you gotta filter out the bad data. Well, so they're suggesting 3 things to make sure that you don't become trapped by social media and winter weather misinformation. Number 1, beware the share. If the weather image on your social media didn't come from a known reliable person, think twice about it. Which leads us to number 2, know your weather person. Find a good, reliable source of weather information, someone with a name from an organization you know and trust, not just a random person, somebody who over time gained your trust, hopefully through accuracy and honesty. And number 3, monitor for forecast changes, because of course it's Wednesday and we're trying to talk about Sunday. It doesn't feel that far out, right? Every TV forecast has a 7 or a 10-day forecast, but when things are this complicated, going more than 72 hours out, as Frank said, is complicated. So they write, don't anchor on one forecast, check back at least once a day for updates. Snow and ice forecasts become most accurate within 48 hours, even better than 72. Be skeptical for forecast amounts much further out than that. I mean, I'll tell you, growing up in the New York City area, Frank, and I'm sure you did this when you lived in Pennsylvania, I always loved to pull the snowform maps for all of the TV channels that we had in New York, right? 2, 4, 5, 7, 11, and I'd put them all side by side, and I'd look to see what each team was forecasting and compare that to the weather service and compare that to whatever else was out there to try to get an idea for all the different variables that might be taking place when a big snowstorm is coming.
That's right. You do have more than one source out there. Different meteorologists will have a different read on there, and so you can kind of come up with the ensemble forecast of your friendly neighborhood meteorologists, as well to give you what may be the best call of all.
If you guys have any more snow questions with us live tonight, go ahead and put those in the chat. We will get to those questions again before we end tonight. And before we get to too many tabs, I want to put on the screen a QR code to get your Carolina Weather Group beanie or toboggan hat or something warm, like this guy. Everybody meet John. Hey, John. He's got his Carolina Weather Group hat on tonight. I told him I was going to put his face on the show, and there it is. Hopefully he is watching. And Frank's got his hat on right now too, because I finally got around to mailing these. So Frank, how does it do keeping the dome warm?
Nicely, considering that I, by choice, have no hair.
And you also have headphones on.
It works well.
Yeah. So there you go. We still have the hats, these hats that you see on the screen right now, discounted. And Frank's also going to style the fleece, which is available. And the nice thing about our Carolina Weather Group e-store is the shipping is a flat rate. So whether you buy one hat or you buy a hat and a fleece or you buy 12 hats, the shipping is going to be the same. And so you can scan that QR code right now or click the link in the description to get yourself some warm clothing for this winter. And at the same time, support your friends here at the Carolina Weather Group, because stuff like this helps us make investments in making the show better. Now you look like Wilson from Home Improvement.
Maybe I'm more like a blue version of Kenny from South Park.
I don't know that I ever pegged you as a South Park viewer, but that's a different show.
A long time ago. I watched a lot of South Park.
So
back when it was actually good 25 years ago.
and controversy erupts. Okay, roll the open. It's time for Too Many Tabs, the part of the show where Frank and I have so much we want to tell you that we're just literally going to go through all of the browser tabs that are open. Mine are Chrome. Are yours Chrome?
Yep.
Okay. Fun fact for anybody who was watching with us last week, the first tab we shared with you about Bradford pear trees, I started reading and didn't realize that I was reading Frank's tab because we both had the same tab open and our screen shares were identical. So I texted him after the show to apologize for stealing his tab. So do you want to go first tonight and I won't speak and you can take whatever it is?
My too many tabs, I'm going to take you through very quickly the first hour of my day. Look at all those tabs.
That's a lot of tabs up there.
60 of them.
All those little.
Yeah,
everybody's listening. That's definitely like 60.
Okay, this is my too many tabs. I'm going to have to move fast, y'all, to make this and get this in a sensible.
If you're going to do all of those tabs, yes.
First, Kokoros. I enter my Kokoros observations. The first thing I do when I get to work each morning, and there have been a lot of zeros lately. Second, visible satellite imagery, which doesn't work very well at 9 p.m. because the sun's gone down. Infrared satellite imagery from the University of Wisconsin. Water vapor imagery from the University of Wisconsin. Low-level water vapor imagery. Air mass satellite imagery. Look at the pretty peach color of Arctic air that's centered over the Great Lakes right now and kind of heading our way. Satellite composite, University of Wisconsin. University of Wisconsin Real Earth. That's visible satellite imagery of the Caribbean. Understandably, it's dark right now there. So, sea surface temperatures from Weather Bell across the Atlantic Basin. Use that a lot, especially in the tropical season. Percent of normal precipitation has been real dry in South Carolina and North Carolina too. WeatherBat, unified analysis, Canadian upper air analysis, storm prediction centers, mesoanalysis site, mimic total precipitable water from the University of Wisconsin. From weathermodels.com, real-time mesoscale analysis temperatures across the country. Observations from Columbia. I can look at other places too, just by changing the code in the URL. Soundings, upper air soundings from the Storm Prediction Center. Storm Prediction Center's homepage. Oh, look, teleconnections. The North Atlantic Oscillation, all models. There's the Pacific North America pattern. It's positive. That's good if you want snow. And then there's the same thing from Weather Bell. The Madden-Julian oscillation. Look at that every day from several different sources. At current administrative messages, where the mesoscale sectors from our weather satellites are right now. There's some computer models. There's from Tropical Tidbits. The 3 kilometer dam for Tropical Tidbits. Forecast discussion from Columbia. I can quickly get to any of the others in South
Good stuff.
Carolina. Weather Bell, forecast temperatures from the National Weather Service. I can look at other forecast parameters easily too. Data 3 to 7 U.S. hazards from the Weather Prediction Center up in Maryland. The 3 to 7 or day 8 to 14 hazards there. Some potential heavy rain event next week, they say. Reminders from, there's my daily diary, and I didn't want you to see, but there it is. So I keep track of what I'm doing so I can write my monthly report for my boss. National snow analyses from the National Operational Hydraulic Remote Sensing Center. It tells you how much snow's on the ground. Not much right now in this part of the country for sure. Season to date snowfall from weathermodels.com. The Euro from the Penn State Meteo map wall. That's a pretty good weather model site too. And now a lot of weather bell models, the HER, the 3 kilometer NAM, the full grid NAM from weathermodels.com, the RRFS, the next generation mesoscale model. Same deal, but from WeatherBell there. The GFS from WeatherBell, the Canadian from WeatherBell, the Canadian about to be made operational version, the new version of their model they're about to bring online. The UK Met from WeatherBell, the Euro from WeatherBell, the GFS AI from WeatherBell, the Euro AI from WeatherBell, the AI GFS Ensemble from WeatherBell, the Euro AI Ensemble from WeatherBell, upper air chart from the GFS, the Canadian, the UK Met, the Euro AI, all from WeatherBell. Also from WeatherBell, forecast model sounding. You get it from the Euro from WeatherBell. That's pretty cool. And finally, velocity potential anomalies from the European AI Ensemble and the GEFS Ensemble model. There you go. That is all the stuff I look at in the first hour or so of my day, each day that I work.
This will be on the test.
Yes. The meteorologist, we look at a heck of a lot of stuff.
Well, I mean, that's exactly right. That's what we're talking about when we say find somebody you trust who goes through the data. I can't think of a more thorough way to go through the data. Would you send me all those?
No, of course of course I will.
All right. Well, I only have 4 tabs left. And my first one brings us to space. You're looking here at the first ever medical evacuation of an American crew from space. Crew 11 undocking from the International Space Station a little earlier on this Wednesday night. They are currently orbiting the Earth, making their way back home early Thursday morning with a splashdown off the Pacific Ocean. I have a map of that I'll show you in a moment. The crew is leaving because one of the 4 astronauts on board suffered a medical incident last week. NASA is not telling us who and not really telling us what, other than to say it was a serious medical incident that made the astronaut need the assistance of the crew members, which came to their aid. It came as the crew was preparing to do a spacewalk there at the International Space Station. After a couple days of preparation, the crew is coming home. The astronaut who had the medical incident is said to be in stable condition. We've seen most, if not all of them, on a video feed earlier in the week when this crew, the American crew, made up of 2 Americans, 1 Japanese, and 1 Russian astronaut, handed over responsibilities to the Russian crew, which is staying on board, which does include 1 American, because not only is it an international lab, but they actually fly international teams. So even though this crew is leaving, we do still have 1 American on board. It is unusual that this crew is leaving before their replacement crew arrives. It's in February that we could see the arrival of crew 12. Also in February when we might see the launch of Artemis 2. More on that coming up. So here is a look at the map. And if you live in California and you're watching the Carolina Weather Group tonight, as I know is very common, you can see here in the early morning hours, East Coast time, about 4:30 a.m. And so a little after 1:30 a.m. Pacific time, the Crew Dragon will re-enter the atmosphere off the coast of California and splash down off the coast of San Diego, where SpaceX and NASA crews will scoop them up out of the ocean, take them back to shore. They typically get a medical evaluation, and given the circumstances, Frank, I assume there will be a medical evaluation, if not medical care, for one of the individuals on board.
Right, yeah, presumably for privacy's sake, we don't know which astronaut's having the problems, and we don't know what the problem is, but they're obviously going to have to get doctors out there real fast once they once they recover the cruise module there when it lands in the ocean.
On our Carolina Weather Group YouTube, we did bring you special coverage last week when the NASA administrator Jared Isaacson held a news conference to take some questions and to announce what was going on. And he tried to explain that although the astronaut was now in stable condition, they felt it was worthwhile to bring them home so that they can get proper screening and proper care. They can treat certain medical conditions on board the International Space Station, as you might also be prepared to bring a first aid kit with you or certain preparations if you were to go camping or off the grid. They certainly want to do the same thing in space because they're really far away from the nearest hospital. But whatever the medical condition is, they've decided to bring the whole crew home, and that astronaut will get earthbound care here in the next 12 hours. Frank, did you have more tabs, or did we watch you close all of your tabs?
Yeah, I closed. All of the tabs that I could show you. So.
I'll keep going. I don't have a tab for it, but I'll leave this lovely view of Earth coming up. We now do have the Artemis 2 launch windows, which begin in just a matter of a few weeks or so. Matter of fact, it is February 6th, which is a Friday, is the earliest possible opportunity to launch Artemis 2, which is the first NASA lunar mission with humans since 1972 when Apollo ended. They won't be landing on the moon with Artemis 2. They are going to fly around the moon in a crewed test drive. Artemis 1 in 2022 was the uncrewed test drive, and now we're going to do the crewed test drive of the Orion space capsule so that Artemis 3 could touch down. But anyway, as soon as February, and it's essentially the first weekend of February, the first weekend of March, the first weekend in April is when the launch windows are. We do have a North Carolinian on board, astronaut Christina Cook, who was born here in the Carolinas and studied here in the Carolinas, is on this mission. And so we're really looking forward to Artemis 2, Frank, and it's supposed to roll out from the vehicle assembly building as early as this Saturday.
I think the weather will be good for that down there on Saturday. I'm not sure they might do it. They might roll things out there, rain or shine, but looks to me like the weather Saturday down there is going to be quiet.
I don't have it right now, but maybe next week we'll revisit some of the behind-the-scenes stuff that we have here in the Carolina Weather Group from when we went to Kennedy Space Center and we went on the crawler and we went in the vehicle assembly building. We went out to the launch pad, so we can kind of give you the lay of the land for some of that stuff coming up maybe next week. The Walk for Peace journey that has really captivated a bunch of folks. The Buddhist monks made their way through the Carolinas. They've been in South Carolina now for a couple of days, Frank, and on this Wednesday,
they passed right through Columbia.
Yeah, and they have now crossed right into Charlotte. So that's where they are here tonight. They're spending the night in Charlotte. They crossed from South Carolina to North Carolina this afternoon. There's the picture right there. And they'll be here for a couple more days as they make their way through North Carolina and on to D.C. It's going to be cold walking through here the next couple days.
Mm-hmm. Looks like they're going to be dressed for it, though.
I certainly would hope so. And bundle up if you're going to be going out to cheer them on. As we can see here from the NCDOT, they'll be passing through Charlotte, Greensboro, and Raleigh. This says over the next few weeks. I would imagine it's not going to take weeks to get through the Carolinas, is it? I mean, that drive on 85 is long.
and sometimes you can get there faster on 85 by walking than by
walking. So they might be good. They're not actually walking on 85. They've been taking side streets. I think they did US 21
right
between Columbia and Charlotte. So. But yeah, it's going to be real cold. Bringing this back home at 8:59 on this Wednesday, Verizon posting on X, today we let many of our customers down, and for that we are truly sorry. They expect more from us. They claim they were working nonstop to make progress on their outage, which affected many of you throughout much of Wednesday, and their teams will continue through the night until service is fully restored to all impacted areas. I didn't have a problem until I tried to call you at 9 o'clock. I guess I can't say I tried to make any phone calls earlier. It was mostly texting, but it was fine. But it was kind of spotty. Yeah, I think those are my tabs. Should we circle back around to some questions?
Sure. If there are questions, if there are any
Yes,
questions, I haven't been looking at the chat.
think there might be. So let's see. We got a couple messages from Jay, who is here loyally each and every week. Jay says he might actually buy one of those blue beanies or caps. We certainly hope he does. I should also tell Jay, because we met Jay in person at Weatherstem at the Shield Museum. I saw Candace this week, Frank. So got a chance to catch up briefly with Candace Jordan there from the Shield Museum. And I assume there's going to be a weatherproof next year, and we'll hopefully be able to go back and do it again. Jay writes on the snow conversation, it's easy to get sidetracked by somebody giving out some kind of prediction. He's referring here to our conversation about social media posts or claim, and it gets overshared to the point where the actual weather truth isn't as known as much. I think that's quite true. Usually, my first thought, Jay says, of snow event heading into flat areas like the Piedmont makes me think of the mountains first, but I could be wrong since I haven't looked at it. I mean, imagine, Frank, the mountains, it's going to be colder there, right? At a simple level, so they've always got a better chance.
Right. Yeah, being higher up, it's colder. So, yeah.
You know what I saw today, and this just made me think of it, Jay. And I haven't looked to see how exactly it plays out, but we've got schools that are operating on 2-hour delays up there in the mountains on Thursday morning. But, and I think this still mostly holds true here tonight. Yeah, let me just show this real fast. So here's the GSP page, Frank, right? So we can see, and this is always subject to change, but if I zoom it in, audio listeners, I'm going to paint you a picture. There's a little map there on weather.gov/GSP or any of them. And they color code the counties based on the warnings. So we've got some winter storm warnings in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. We've got some winter weather advisories in some counties here now, both on Tennessee and the North Carolina side. But, Boone's got a cold weather advisory. I don't know that Boone, North Carolina, has a winter weather advisory. They don't. They have a hazardous weather outlook, a wind advisory, and a cold weather advisory. And this all brings me back to what my point was, which was that they, in the last couple of years, the Weather Service, to try to keep from overwarning, are kind of delineating on elevations, because if you warn for the whole county, if you say all of Watauga has a winter weather advisory, but it only snows above 3,500 feet, everyone below 3,500 feet is like, hey, what happened? So I thought that was a really fascinating breakdown I was reading about today, where they're trying to find the middle ground, find the most effective communication, but also try to delineate between not only like which counties, but like which elevations in which counties.
Right. And that's been a process that's been going on for a long time. I mean, many years ago, when the National Weather Service issued a tornado warning, they would issue it for an entire county.
Right.
Okay. So, yeah. And so that's an awful big area for a tornado warning. So, you could be in Catawba, South Carolina, and you're under a tornado warning, but the actual tornado is going through Clover, which is something like 25 miles away. And you're cowering in your basement and the sun's out. So that process took some time, and they eventually started breaking it down to smaller portions of a county, and then eventually they just started using the polygons that they use today. The same thing is the case for winter weather advisories, winter storm warnings, and so forth. They can issue it for a portion of a county, or just certain elevation threshold within a county. And it makes it a whole lot easier to communicate to where the threat really is.
Yeah, so that's all really good to check. And you're right; those convective warnings of your thunderstorms, tornadoes, flash flood, they really help kind of narrow those down. And I think they're trying to always work on the social science. Jay said he has one other question. Jay, I know you're watching with us here. I was scrolling trying to find it. I think you might be referring to your question about the winter weather, and I think this is the question that he's hoping we answer before we go tonight, Frank, is this winter weather coming from the mountains? Like, is it coming out of the mountains? I think
no, it's not. It's actually coming from kind of the southwest, more so than from the mountains.
I think right, Tim's map kind of helps with that a little bit.
Right. Yeah. This cold front that we're talking about that comes through early Saturday becomes stationary just offshore, and then you have low pressure forming about where that big red L is that that we have on this map here, Tim Buckley's map, and then it kind of takes track 1 or 2 probably along the Carolina coast, and and the question is how much moisture it brings with it, how intense it's going to be as to how much precipitation comes with it. But I mean, the GFS, if you want to pop back over to my screen share and let me find the right frame here, the GFS actually shows snow almost down to the Gulf Coast, almost down to New Orleans.
That would be crazy.
Yeah, Saturday evening, and then it comes our way late Saturday night, early Sunday. And then progresses eastward during the day.
And there's the
starting
low,
as
right?
rain in some areas.
You can kind of see the low there in this frame off of DC.
Right. It's at this point the disturbance is, there's not really a surface low, but the disturbance is kind of over the deep south there in Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. Then it progresses eastward to start to spawn surface low pressure out east of Hatteras there, and then it shows up pretty well by the time you get to Sunday evening.
Yeah. Thank you for that explanation. Jay says it helps. That was, in fact, his question, Frank. We'll keep a close eye on this. I'm sure we'll be posting updates on social and on our YouTube channel as this forecast develops, because as Frank says, we have to get a little bit closer to the actual event. And there's our YouTube channel. I think Frank's on it right now. Let me kill the screen share.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, there we go. And
there we are.
I just found this tweet, and I'm gonna probably end here. But Tim was showing for North Carolina, and I'm sure it's similar to South Carolina. There are parts of North Carolina that are now several inches behind on the drought. So any rain we can get sounds great, but like there's severe drought in some portions of the Piedmont, which is probably hard to think about in January, but it's true, and it's going to really set us up for a dry spring if we don't get a handle on that soon.
Yeah, we really need some rain down here in South Carolina too.
But a reminder that Monday is a federal holiday, so we don't have to play the game of is there going to be any sort of snow closures or delays on Monday, because everyone's closed.
Right. And even if we do get a snowstorm, a lot of it would probably melt on Monday.
Yeah.
There probably would not be a whole lot of school closures to worry about on Tuesday.
But again, bundle up. It's going to be real cold the next couple of days. We'll watch the developing snow forecast. Hopefully our honest conversation tonight helped out. Frank, you have any closing thoughts?
No.
Great. Well, that's the 1 hour mark. So we're going to go ahead and get on out of here on this week's edition of the Carolina Weather Group. I'm James. That's Frank. Thanks for watching. I'll say we'll see you back here next week, which we will, but we may see you sooner as well, depending on what happens. So stay tuned. Be well. Talk to you soon. Good night.
Bye, y'all.